Many of you sit here tonight caught in states of waiting for better health, waiting for financial abundance, waiting for love to enter your life, waiting for recognition, waiting for peace of mind. But I tell you, waiting is the antithesis of creation. In the realm of imagination, which is the realm of God, for God and your wonderful human imagination are one and the same, there is no waiting. There is only the eternal now. Let us examine the words of Scripture. For all Scripture is a psychological drama taking place in the depth of your own being. In the book of Revelation, we read, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him and he with me." This door is not some physical entrance, but the door of your consciousness. Your miracle is knocking right now, asking for entrance into your world. Will you let it in? The great mistake that mankind makes is believing that miracles are external events that happen to us through some force outside ourselves. This is the great illusion. The truth, the absolute truth that I am giving you tonight is that miracles are not external happenings, but internal assumptions. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, when you live from the end as though your desire were already an accomplished fact, you are performing the greatest miracle. I recall a lady who came to me in utter despair. For 15 years, she had been separated from her son. Legal battles, geographic distance, and family disputes had created what appeared to be an insurmountable barrier between them. She had tried everything the external world offered: lawyers, mediators, letters, phone calls, but to no avail. Then she discovered this principle. Instead of dwelling in the state of separation, which only perpetuated that reality, she began to sleep each night in the assumption that her son was back in her life. She would fall asleep feeling the joy of their reunion, hearing his voice, feeling his embrace. Within 3 weeks after 15 years of separation, her phone rang. It was her son calling from a nearby town, asking if he could come see her. The external bridge was built because the internal bridge had been established first in her imagination. This is how your miracle will come. Not by fighting against current circumstances, not by forcing external events, but by assuming in the depth of your consciousness that you already are what you desire to be. For consciousness is the only reality, and everything else is merely its shadow. Many of you have been taught to believe that your desires are too grand, that you must be practical, reasonable, and conform to the limitations of the world around you. This is the greatest lie ever perpetuated upon mankind. The truth is that your consciousness knows no limitations, and the miracle you seek is limited only by your capacity to imagine it as real. The Bible tells us all things are possible to him that believeth. But what does it mean to believe? It does not mean to intellectually accept something as true. True belief is the complete acceptance of your desire as an already existing fact. It is when your inner conversation and feeling states are in complete alignment with your wish fulfilled. When you truly believe, you cease trying to make things happen, because in your consciousness they have already happened. I want you to understand something fundamental about the nature of your miracle. The time interval between your assumption and its physical manifestation is merely a device of your three-dimensional world. In the fourth dimension of consciousness, where your imagination dwells, your miracle already exists in its completeness. The appearance of time is simply the movement of events across the screen of your three-dimensional world. So many of you are giving up just before your miracle manifests physically. You plant the seed in consciousness by assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. But then you dig it up repeatedly to see if it's growing. No farmer would expect a harvest by continually uprooting his seeds to check their progress. Similarly, you must allow your assumption to take root in the first soil of your consciousness without the interference. Let me share with you another principle that is crucial to the manifestation of your miracle. What you focus on expands. If you focus on the absence of your desire, on the lack, on the waiting, on the not having, then that state of consciousness will expand and perpetuate itself. But if you focus on the presence of your desire, on the feeling of having it now, that state will expand and externalize itself in your world. There is a story in the Bible of the woman with the issue of blood who touched the hem of Jesus' garment and was healed instantly. Jesus said to her, "Thy faith hath made thee whole." Now, who is this Jesus in the story? He is your own wonderful human imagination. And the woman's faith was not a passive hope that she might be healed someday. It was an active assumption that by touching the garment, by making contact with the power of imagination, she would be healed now. And she was. Your miracle operates by the same principle. It requires your active assumption, your complete conviction that it is done. The world may present you with 1,000 reasons why your desire cannot be fulfilled. Circumstances may seem to contradict the possibility of your miracle. People may discourage you with their limited thinking. But I say to you with absolute authority, all external evidence is only the product of past assumptions. It has no power to prevent new assumptions from reshaping your world. Do not be discouraged by appearances. Appearances are shadows, while your consciousness is the substance. As Neville, I tell you that the secret to manifestation lies not in manipulating shadows, but in changing the substance from which shadows are cast. When you change your concept of self, when you assume a new state of consciousness, the shadows must conform. Now let us speak of persistence, for many of you are on the verge of giving up. You have tried to apply these principles, but you have not yet seen the physical evidence of your desires. Perhaps you have even concluded that these principles do not work for you. Let me tell you why this conclusion is false and why you must persist. The law of assumption is just that, a law. It is as consistent and unwavering as the law of gravity. It does not work sometimes and fail other times. It is always operating, whether you are conscious of it or not. If your desire has not yet manifested, it is not because the law has failed. It is because you have not yet fully assumed the consciousness of having your desire. There may still be contradictory assumptions operating beneath the surface of your awareness. Remember the words of Scripture, "Let patience have a perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing." Patience in this context does not mean waiting passively for something to happen. It means maintaining your assumption regardless of appearances until the bridge of incidents has been built that leads to the feature and manifestation of your desire. There is a perfect time for the externalization of your desires, a divine timing that human intellect cannot calculate. This divine timing is determined not by some external clock, but by the complete saturation of your consciousness with the feeling of your wish fulfilled. When there is no longer any conflict in your mind, when you have completely accepted your desire as an accomplished fact, then the miracle must come forth. I have seen countless individuals who were on the brink of giving up, who had tried everything and were ready to abandon their dreams, only to discover that their miracle was just around the corner. Had they given up, they would have never witnessed the manifestation that was already in motion. Think of Elijah in the Bible, who prayed for rain during a devastating drought. After his prayer, he sent his servant to look toward the sea for any sign of rain. 6 times the servant returned saying there was nothing. But on the 7th time, he reported seeing a small cloud the size of a man's hand rising from the sea. From that tiny cloud came a torrential downpour that ended the drought. Your miracle may begin as a small cloud on the horizon, a subtle shift in circumstances, an unexpected phone call, a chance meeting, a new idea. Do not despise these small beginnings, for they are the first physical evidence of the massive change that has already occurred in your consciousness. When Jesus stood before the tomb of Lazarus, who had been dead for 4 days, he did not pray for Lazarus to be resurrected. Instead, he said, "Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me." He gave thanks before any physical evidence of the miracle was present. This is the secret thanksgiving in advance. When you give thanks for your miracle as though it has already happened, you are establishing in consciousness the very condition that will objectify itself in your world. Let us explore another dimension of this principle. Many of you believe that your miracle requires the cooperation of specific individuals or the arrangement of particular circumstances. You think, if only my boss would give me that promotion, or if only that person would love me, or if only the market would shift in my favor. But this is to misunderstand the nature of creation. Your consciousness does not depend on any external condition for its creative power. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, The entire universe rearranges itself to make that assumption a reality. People, circumstances, events, all are merely instruments for the externalization of your assumptions. They have no power to initiate causes. They can only reflect the causes you have initiated in your own consciousness. This principle removes all sense of dependency and victimhood. You are not at the mercy of others' decisions or external conditions. You are the operant power in your life. And the entire objective world is the servant of your assumptions. I recall a gentleman who was told by medical authorities that he had an incurable condition that would progressively worsen. The experts gave him no hope. But rather than accepting this verdict, he began to assume the feeling of perfect health. Each night before sleep, he would construct a scene implying that he was completely well. He would imagine his doctor expressing amazement at his recovery. He persisted in this assumption despite all physical evidence to the contrary. Within 6 months, he returned to his doctor for tests, and to the doctor's astonishment, there was no trace of the condition. The doctor called it a medical miracle. But it was not a medical miracle, it was a miracle of consciousness. You see, the creative power does not reside in the doctor, the medicine, or any external agency. It resides in your consciousness. When you change your concept of self, you change your relationship to everything in your world, including your own body. Now, I want to address a crucial aspect of manifestation that many overlook. Your miracle is not something separate from yourself. You are not trying to attract something from outside. You are awakening to the reality that everything you desire already exists within you in a state of potential. Manifestation is not attraction, it is expression. It is the outpicturing of what already exists within. Think of an acorn. Within that tiny seed exists the full potential of a mighty oak tree. The oak is not attracted to the acorn from outside. It unfolds from within as the inherent nature of the acorn expresses itself. Similarly, your miracle is the natural expression of the state of consciousness you have assumed. It is the oak tree emerging from the acorn of your assumption. This understanding transforms how you approach manifestation. Instead of trying to get something, you focus on being something. For what you are is what you will express, and what you express is what you will experience in your three-dimensional world. In the Bible we read, "Let this mind be in you which was also in Christ Jesus, who being in the form of God, thought it not robbery to be equal with God." This is not blasphemy, it is the statement of a psychological fact. Your imagination, Christ in you, is God in action. When you assume the mind of having what you desire, you are exercising the same creative power that created the universe. Your miracle is not coming, it exists now as a present reality in the imagination. And since imagination creates reality, the feeling state you assume today must objectify itself in your tomorrow. This is law, not luck or chance. Many of you have spent years affirming positive thoughts while maintaining a feeling state of lack. You have recited affirmations of abundance while feeling poor. You have declared health while feeling sick. You have professed love while feeling unloved. But I tell you, it is not what you affirm with your lips, but what you affirm in feeling that creates your reality. For feeling is the prayer, and prayer is feeling. What you feel, you attract. What you imagine with feeling, you become. Consider the story of Jacob and Esau. Jacob, whose name means supplanter, covered himself with the skins of goats to simulate the hairiness of his brother Esau. When his blind father Isaac felt him, he believed he was touching Esau and gave Jacob the blessing intended for the firstborn. This story is not about deception, but about the power of assumption. When you assume the feeling of being what you want to be, even though your reason and senses deny it, you receive the blessing, the manifestation of that state. Your miracle is already yours in the invisible reality of consciousness. The only distance between you and its physical manifestation is the distance between your present concept of self and the concept you would assume if your desire were already fulfilled. Close that gap in consciousness, and you close the gap in manifestation. Let me share with you a technique that has helped countless individuals bridge this gap. It is the technique of living from the end. Before you fall asleep each night, construct a scene in your imagination that would imply your miracle has already happened. Make this scene as vivid and as real as possible. Engage all your senses. What would you see? What would you hear? What would you feel? What would you smell or taste? How would others respond to you? Create this scene with such clarity that it feels more real than your bedroom. Then, enter fully into this scene. Don't observe it from a distance, be a participant in it. Feel the emotions you would feel if this were actually happening. Allow the joy, the gratitude, the peace, the excitement to course through your body. Fall asleep in this state, for the subconscious mind is most impressionable as you enter the sleep state. Do this night after night, and you will begin to notice subtle shifts in your waking reality. Opportunities will appear that were not there before. Resources will become available. People will respond to you differently. These are the signs that your assumption is taking root and beginning to objectify itself in your world. But do not make the mistake of looking for your miracle exactly as you have imagined it. The bridge of incidents that leads to your desire may take unexpected forms. Trust the wisdom of your deeper mind to bring about your desire in ways that your intellect cannot conceive. Your role is to maintain the assumption of the end, not to dictate the means. Now let us confront the great enemy of manifestation, doubt. Doubt is not the opposite of faith. It is faith in the opposite. When you doubt, you are actually exercising faith in what you do not want. You are assuming the feeling of not having, and that assumption must objectify itself just as surely as the assumption of having. The antidote to doubt is not blind optimism, but a deeper understanding of the creative process. When doubt arises, do not fight it or deny it. Instead, recognize it as a signal that you have temporarily slipped back into the old state of consciousness. Then, gently but firmly return to your new assumption. Persist in the assumption that your miracle is already yours, and eventually that assumption will harden into fact. Remember the words of Jesus, according to your faith be it unto you. Faith is not a sentiment, it is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. It is the feeling tone of already having what you desire. When you maintain this feeling despite all evidence to the contrary, you are exercising true faith, and your miracle must come. I want to address something that prevents many from fully applying these principles, the fear of disappointment. Some of you hold back from fully assuming your desire is fulfilled because you fear the pain of disappointment if it doesn't materialize. You think you are protecting yourself, but in reality, you are guaranteeing the very disappointment you seek to avoid. For the law of assumption operates with mathematical precision. What you assume, you become. If you assume that your desire might not be fulfilled, that assumption itself creates the condition where it cannot be fulfilled. But if you assume with complete conviction that it is already fulfilled, nothing in this world can prevent its manifestation. The secret is to transfer your faith from the evidence of the senses to the evidence of imagination. When you can feel the reality of your imagined state with the same intensity that you now feel the reality of your physical state, your miracle is assured. Consider the parable of the talents. The servant who buried his talent in the ground did so out of fear. He was afraid of losing what he had. But the master condemned his action, taking the 1 talent from him and giving it to the one who had 10 talents. This parable illustrates a profound psychological law. What you fear, you attract. What you try to avoid, you invite. The only way to truly possess what you desire is to assume the feeling of already possessing it. Your miracle is not some distant possibility. It is a present reality in consciousness waiting to be claimed. The choice is yours. Will you continue to live from the assumption of lack, of waiting, of hoping that someday your desire will be fulfilled? Or will you have the courage to assume right now that what you desire is already yours? I challenge you tonight to make a fundamental shift in consciousness. Stop thinking of yourself as someone who is trying to achieve a goal, and start thinking of yourself as someone who has already achieved it. Stop seeing yourself as someone who is working toward health, and start seeing yourself as someone who is already healthy. Stop feeling yourself to be unloved, and start feeling yourself to be deeply loved. For what you assume, you become, and what you become in consciousness, you express in reality. The outer world may convince you that your miracle is impossible. People may tell you that you are being unrealistic, that you should accept your limitations and be content with less than your heart desires. But I tell you with absolute certainty, the only limitations that exist are those you accept in consciousness. Change your consciousness and you change your world. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. This word is not some utterance spoken thousands of years ago. It is the creative power of your own wonderful human imagination operating now, in this moment. When you speak the word in consciousness by assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are invoking the same creative power that brought the universe into being. Your miracle does not require you to be special, talented, educated, wealthy, or well-connected. It requires only that you understand and apply the creative principle. That is your birthright as a human being. This principle is no respecter of persons. It works for anyone who applies it, regardless of their background, circumstances, or past failures. I have seen individuals from all walks of life transform their reality through the proper use of imagination. I have witnessed those without formal education achieve intellectual heights beyond the reach of scholars. I have seen the physically frail restore themselves to vibrant health. I have watched the financially destitute rise to prosperity. I have observed the lonely and rejected become surrounded by love and acceptance. All through the same principle I am sharing with you tonight, the principle that imagination creates reality. The question is not whether your miracle is possible. The question is whether you are willing to assume the consciousness required for its manifestation. Are you willing to let go of your present concept of self and assume a new concept that aligns with your desire? Are you willing to live from the end even when all sensory evidence contradicts it? Are you willing to persist in your assumption until it hardens into fact? If your answer is yes, then your miracle is not merely coming, it is here now, waiting to be recognized and claimed. For in the realm of consciousness, where all creation begins, time and space do not exist as we know them in the three-dimensional world. Your tomorrow exists now as a present possibility. By assuming the feeling of that possibility as a present fact, you collapse time and bring your desire into your today. Remember the words of Scripture: before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. This is not some supernatural promise, but a statement of psychological law. The answer to your prayer, your miracle, exists before you even ask for it. It exists as a state of consciousness that you can enter through the portal of imagination. When you truly understand this principle, you will never again beg or plead for your good. You will never again feel dependent on external circumstances or other people. You will know with unshakable conviction that your consciousness is the only reality and everything else is its servant. I encourage you tonight to embark on a bold experiment. Select one desire that you've been struggling to manifest. Perhaps it's a relationship, a job opportunity, a health condition, or a financial goal. For the next 30 days, commit to living completely from the assumption that this desire is already fulfilled. Construct a scene that implies its fulfillment and enter this scene each night before sleep. During your waking hours, conduct your inner conversations as though your desire were already a fact. Do not tell anyone about this experiment. Keep it as a sacred covenant between you and your own wonderful human imagination. At the end of 30 days, you will be amazed at how your outer world has begun to reflect your inner assumption. Your miracle is not subject to chance or luck. It is governed by law, the law of consciousness. This law states that whatever you assume to be true in consciousness must objectify itself in your reality. It cannot do otherwise, for consciousness is the one and only reality, and everything else is merely its projection. Throughout human history, those who have discovered this law have performed what the world calls miracles. But they were not miracles in the sense of violations of natural law. They were the natural expressions of a higher law, the law that consciousness is the only reality. And when consciousness is changed, reality must change to reflect it. As we near the conclusion of our time together, I want to emphasize a critical point. Your miracle is not contingent on anything outside yourself. It does not depend on the economy, the government, other people's opinions, your past experiences, or your present circumstances. It depends solely on the state of consciousness you assume and maintain. This understanding liberates you from the tyranny of circumstances. You are no longer a victim of conditions, but a creator of conditions. You are no longer at the mercy of the world, but are the master of your world. For the world is nothing more than your consciousness objectified. I invite you tonight to embrace this liberating truth. Your miracle is already yours in consciousness. Claim it, feel it, live from it, and watch as the outer world reshapes itself to match the pattern you have established within. Remember, the kingdom of heaven is within you. This kingdom is not a place but a state of consciousness. When you enter the state of having your desire fulfilled, you have entered the kingdom. And from that kingdom, your miracle will manifest as naturally and as inevitably as dawn follows night. Do not give up. Persist in your assumption. For your persistence is not a struggle against reality, but the assertion of a deeper reality, the reality of consciousness, as the only creative power in your world. Your miracle is here now. It exists this very moment in your imagination. By the law of assumption, what exists in imagination must objectify itself in your reality. This is not theory or speculation, it is law. And when you align yourself with this law, nothing in this world can prevent the fulfillment of your desire. Go forth in the conviction that what you have assumed in consciousness is already yours in experience. Live from that conviction and watch as the miracle unfolds before your eyes, not as something new coming into your life, but as the natural expression of what you have already accepted as true, the one and only reality, the reality of consciousness. I leave you with this promise: all things whatsoever ye shall ask in prayer, believing ye shall receive. Believe not with your intellect, but with your feeling. Feel the reality of your desire now, and in the not distant future, you will hold in your hands the manifestation of that which you have already held in your consciousness. Your miracle is not coming, it has come. Recognize it, claim it, and it is yours. For you are the operant power, and your consciousness is the one and only reality. I wish to discuss how to prepare yourself to receive this miracle that is already yours. For receiving is an art, just as giving is an art. And most of us have been trained to believe that receiving requires effort, struggle, and worthiness, when in truth, receiving is simply a state of consciousness, a feeling and acceptance of what already is. All things whatsoever ye pray and ask for, believe that ye have received them, and ye shall have them. This statement from Mark 11:24 contains the entire secret of successful prayer. It is not about asking or beseeching some external power for what you desire. Rather, it is about assuming the feeling of already having what you desire. And when you assume this feeling, the miracle that seemed external to you begins to unfold in your world. Let me share with you a principle that has guided my understanding. Imagination creates reality. Your imagination is not a fantasy-making faculty designed to escape reality. No, your imagination is the very substance of reality, the creative power through which God operates in you as you. The eternal body of man is the imagination, and that is God himself, as Blake so beautifully expressed it. When I speak of a miracle coming your way, I am speaking of the natural unfoldment that occurs when you align your consciousness with your desire. For the state you occupy mentally and emotionally is the state you will occupy physically. This is law. This is how your world is shaped. And if you would receive your miracle, you must first learn to occupy the state of its fulfillment in your imagination. Many of you come to me and ask, how can I manifest this desire? How can I make this dream come true? And I say to you, you do not manifest your desire, you manifest what you are. Your world is a perfect reflection of your state of consciousness. Therefore, to change your world, you must change your concept of self. You must dare to assume that you are already the person you wish to be, living in the circumstances you wish to experience. The greatest miracle that can come your way is the discovery of your own divine nature, the realization that you are God in expression, that the creative power of the universe flows through you as naturally as breath. And with this realization comes the understanding that all things are possible to you, for all things are possible to God. Now let us explore the practical application of this principle. How do you prepare yourself to receive the miracle that is rightfully yours? First, you must clarify in your mind exactly what you desire. Many people live in a perpetual state of vague wishing, never crystallizing their desires into clear, definite form. But God, the creative power within you, can only work with definiteness. Therefore, know precisely what you want. Once you have clarified your desire, you must then assume the feeling of already having fulfilled that desire. This is the cardinal secret, my dear friends. This is the art of prayer. Prayer is not begging, prayer is thanksgiving. Prayer is the feeling of gratitude for already having received what you desire. When you pray in this manner, you are aligning yourself with the natural creative flow of the universe. I recall a lady who came to me in dire financial circumstances. She was facing eviction from her apartment and had exhausted all conventional resources. I advised her to assume just before sleep each night that she was falling asleep in a lovely home that belonged to her, feeling the security and peace that comes with such ownership. I told her to persist in this assumption, regardless of any contradictory evidence presented by her senses. Within 1 month, a distant relative whom she had not spoken to in many years unexpectedly passed away, leaving her beautiful home free and clear of any debt. This is the law in operation. She assumed a state of secure home ownership in her imagination, and that state externalized itself in her world. But let me caution you, this principle requires persistence. The habits of thought that have created your present circumstances will resist change. Your conscious assumption must be repeated, must be nurtured, must be persisted in until it takes root in the subconscious mind. And when it does take root, nothing in this world can prevent its manifestation. The miracle you seek is already completed in what I call the fourth dimensional self. In the dimension of consciousness, time is not linear as we experience it here. All states exist now, and the state you wish to occupy already exists in its completeness. Your task is not to create it, but to enter it through the portal of your imagination. Imagine, if you will, that your life is like a vast mansion with countless rooms. Each room represents a different state of consciousness, a different set of circumstances, a different expression of self. The miracle you seek is simply occupying a different room in the mansion of your being. And the key to that room is your assumption, your controlled imagination. Tonight, as you fall asleep, I urge you to imagine that you are experiencing the fulfillment of your heart's desire. Feel the joy, the relief, the satisfaction of having what you longed for. Do not concern yourself with the how or the when. Those details belong to God, to the creative wisdom of your deeper self. Your responsibility is simply to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The Bible tells us faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Your faith, your controlled imagination, your assumption is the very substance that will clothe itself in the material facts of your experience. It is the evidence that precedes physical manifestation. I have tested this principle in countless ways in my own life and in the lives of those who have come to me for counsel. It never fails, it cannot fail, for it is law. Just as the law of gravity operates without regard to your beliefs or opinions about it, so too does the law of assumption operate with mathematical precision. Assume you have your desire, and if you persist in that assumption, it must materialize in your world. Now, some of you may be wondering, what if I have multiple desires? What if there are many miracles I wish to experience? The answer is simple: work on one desire at a time. Choose the desire that, if fulfilled, would bring you the greatest joy, and focus your creative attention on that. When that desire has been realized, move on to the next. The human imagination can be likened to a garden. The thoughts and assumptions you plant today become the facts of tomorrow's harvest. Plant with care, with deliberation, with confidence in the perfect law that governs all creation. I recall a man who desired to double his income. He was working in a field where such an increase seemed impossible, according to conventional wisdom. Yet he faithfully assumed that he was already earning twice his current salary. He would mentally revise his pay stubs, seeing the larger amount. He would feel the relief and security of having that additional income. Within 6 months, he was offered a position in a completely different industry, one he had never even considered, at exactly twice his previous salary. The miracle that awaits you may come in an unexpected form, through an unexpected channel. Do not limit God by insisting on a particular method of fulfillment. Focus only on the end, the state of fulfillment, and let the infinite wisdom of your deeper self determine the bridge of incidents that will lead to the manifestation of your desire. Remember, my dear friends, that creation is finished. All states exist now. I am the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. The state you wish to occupy already exists in its completeness. Your task is not to create it, but to claim it, to enter it through the power of your assumption. Tonight, I challenge you to test this principle. Choose a desire that seems beyond your reach according to your present circumstances. It may be related to your health, your finances, your relationships, or any other aspect of your life. Clarify exactly what you want. Then, as you prepare for sleep, assume that you already have it. Feel the gratitude, the joy, the fulfillment of possession. Do this night after night and watch as the miracle unfolds in your world. The miracle is coming to you because you are coming to it. You are moving into the state where the desire is already fulfilled. And as you occupy that state faithfully in your imagination, the outer circumstances of your life must reshape themselves to reflect your inner conviction. There is a story I often share about a young woman who desired marriage with a specific man. This man had shown no romantic interest in her whatsoever. In fact, he was dating another woman and had expressed his intention to marry her. The young woman came to me in desperation, asking if there was anything to be done. I instructed her to assume each night as she fell asleep that she was lying beside this man as his wife. I told her to feel his presence, to feel the wedding ring on her finger, to hear him call her by her married name. She did this faithfully for several weeks. One day, the man called her unexpectedly. His relationship with the other woman had ended abruptly, and he found himself thinking of her. They began dating, and within 6 months they were married. The outer circumstances rearranged themselves to conform to her inner assumption. This is not manipulation, my friends. This is not about controlling others or forcing events. It is about entering the state where your desire is fulfilled and allowing the wisdom of your deeper self to bring about the conditions necessary for its manifestation. The great mystic Meister Eckhart said, God is I am. This divine presence, this creative power, is your very being. When you say I am, you are invoking the name of God. And whatever you attach to that divine name, whether positive or negative, you are decreeing for yourself. Be careful then of what you claim with the words I am. For I am is the beginning of creation. I am wealthy. I am healthy. I am love. These are divine decrees that must externalize themselves in your experience if you persist in them. Conversely, I am poor, I am sick, I am unlucky. These two are decrees that will manifest in your world. The power does not lie in the condition, but in the I am that precedes it. The miracle that is coming your way is already in existence, waiting for your recognition. It exists in the dimension of consciousness, in what I call the fourth dimension. From this dimension, all things flow into the three-dimensional world of our physical experience. To enter this fourth dimension, you must silence the senses. You must temporarily shut out the evidence of the three-dimensional world and enter the chamber of your imagination. There, in that quiet place, you can assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. And that feeling persisted in will harden into fact in your three-dimensional experience. Many of us have been taught that seeing is believing. But I say to you, believing is seeing. What you believe in your heart, what you faithfully assume to be true, will ultimately be seen in your world. This is the true meaning of faith. Faith is not hoping or wishing. Faith is the conviction of the reality of the unseen. The miracle you seek may seem distant or even impossible according to your present circumstances. But I assure you it is nearer than your breath, closer than your heartbeat. It exists now in the realm of consciousness, and through your faithful assumption, it will be drawn into your physical experience. I want to share with you a practical technique that has helped many realize their desired miracles. I call it revision. Each night before you sleep, review the events of your day. If any event was less than perfect, if there was conflict, disappointment, or failure, revise it in your imagination. See it unfolding differently, in a way that aligns with your desires. For instance, if you had a disagreement with a colleague, Revise the scene. Imagine the conversation proceeding harmoniously with mutual understanding and respect. Feel the satisfaction of this harmonious exchange. This is not mere fantasy. This is the actual reshaping of your world. The Bible tells us the kingdom of God is within you. This kingdom is the realm of imagination, the fourth dimension, from which all creation flows. It is the realm of the miraculous where all things are possible. And it is within you, accessible through your controlled imagination. The miracle that is coming your way is not dependent on external conditions or other people's actions. It is dependent solely on your state of consciousness. Change your concept of self and you change your world. For the world is yourself pushed out. I recall a gentleman who desired a promotion at work. He had been passed over several times, and according to office politics, he was not next in line for advancement. I advised him to assume each night before sleep that he had already received the promotion. I told him to hear the congratulations of his colleagues, to feel the satisfaction of the increased responsibility and compensation. Within 2 weeks, the person who held the position he desired unexpectedly resigned to pursue another opportunity. Despite the established protocols, he was offered the position. The outer circumstances rearranged themselves to conform to his inner assumption. This principle applies to every aspect of your life, your health, your relationships, your financial situation, your professional status. Whatever you desire to experience, assume that you are already experiencing it. Feel the reality of its fulfillment. Persist in this assumption, and it must manifest in your world. Some may call this magical thinking, but I assure you, it is the most practical, scientific approach to deliberate creation. For your assumptions persisted in become your beliefs. Your beliefs shape your perceptions. Your perceptions influence your actions. And your actions determine your results. The sequence begins with your assumption, the seed from which your miracle grows. Plant that seed in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind through the feeling of your wish fulfilled, and it will grow into the manifest fact of your experience. The miracle you are preparing to receive is not something that will happen to you. It is something that will happen in you. It is a shift in consciousness, a new self-concept, a new definition of reality. And from that inner shift, all outer conditions must change. I want to emphasize again the importance of feeling in this process. It is not enough to intellectually affirm your desire. You must feel it, emotionally experience it as real. For feeling is the language of the subconscious mind, and it is through the subconscious that your assumptions are realized. When you lie down to sleep tonight, enter into the feeling of your wish fulfilled. What would it feel like if your desire were already realized? Would you feel relief, joy, security, peace? Whatever the feeling would be, immerse yourself in it as you drift off to sleep. This plants your assumption deep in the subconscious, where it will begin to grow into objective fact. The sleep state is particularly effective for this practice because in sleep, the conscious, rational mind is temporarily suspended. The barriers of disbelief and doubt are lowered, allowing your assumption to take root more deeply in the subconscious. I have observed that many people sabotage their miracles through conflicting assumptions. They assume the fulfillment of their desire when they engage in conscious prayer or visualization, but then assume its absence or impossibility in their daily thinking and conversation. Remember, what you assume throughout the day is also creative. Be vigilant in maintaining the assumption of your wish fulfilled in all your thinking. The biblical story of the prodigal son beautifully illustrates the principle I am sharing with you tonight. The son, having squandered his inheritance, decides to return home. But notice what the father says when he sees his son approaching. This my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. The father does not say, my son will be alive, he will be found. He speaks in the present tense, declaring the completed reality. This is the language of successful prayer, the language of miraculous manifestation. Speak of your desires already fulfilled, already realized, already accomplished. The miracle you seek is already finished in the mind of God in your own wonderful human imagination. Your task is to align your conscious thinking with this completed reality, to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, to live from the end. I am often asked, how long will it take for my desire to manifest? The answer depends on the intensity of your assumption and the naturalness with which you can feel your wish fulfilled. For some, manifestation is instantaneous. For others, it may take weeks or months. But this I can assure you. If you persist in your assumption, manifestation is certain. The Bible promises, though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Your miracle is on its way to you at this very moment, moving toward you through a series of events, a bridge of incidents, orchestrated by the infinite wisdom of your deeper self. Do not be concerned with the how. Do not try to manipulate external circumstances or control other people's actions. Focus solely on maintaining the feeling of your wish fulfilled, and let the creative power within you determine the path of least resistance to its manifestation. I would like to share with you a powerful practice that will help you receive your miracle. It is the practice of gratitude. Gratitude is the feeling that accompanies the fulfillment of desire. When your desire is realized, you naturally feel grateful. By deliberately cultivating gratitude now before the physical manifestation, you are affirming that your desire is already fulfilled in consciousness. Each day, take time to give thanks for the fulfillment of your desire. Feel the gratitude deep in your heart. Let it permeate your being. This attitude of thanksgiving is a powerful magnetic force that draws your good to you. Remember, the kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which is the smallest of all seeds. But when it grows, it becomes a tree large enough for birds to nest in its branches. Your assumption, your feeling of the wish fulfilled may seem small and insignificant compared to the vastness of your external reality. But if you nurture it with faith and persistence, it will grow into a manifest fact large enough to transform your entire life. The miracle that is coming your way is already within you, waiting for your recognition. It is not something that must be created. It is something that must be accepted. And you accept it by assuming the feeling of its reality, by living from the end. I encourage you to test this principle in your own life. Start with something small, something you can easily accept as possible. As you gain confidence in the law of assumption, you can apply it to increasingly significant desires. But whether your desire seems small or great by human standards, the principle remains the same. Assume you have it, feel the reality of possession, and it must objectify itself in your world. The Bible tells us, with God, all things are possible. And since God is your own wonderful human imagination, this means that all things are possible to the one who believes, who assumes, who feels the reality of the wish fulfilled. Tonight, as you prepare to receive your miracle, I urge you to remember these words: be still and know that I am God. In the stillness of your own consciousness, in the quiet of your own heart, you will find the power to transform your world. For it is in this stillness that you can most effectively assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. The outer world will present evidence contrary to your desire. It will bombard you with facts that seem to contradict the possibility of your miracle. But remember, facts are only the fruit of past assumptions. They have no power to determine your future unless you give them that power through your continued assumption. Choose instead to assume the reality of your wish fulfilled, regardless of appearances. This requires courage and persistence, but it is the path to the miraculous transformation of your world. I recall a woman who had been diagnosed with a chronic illness for which medical science offered no cure. She was told she would have to manage her symptoms for the rest of her life. But she refused to accept this verdict. Each night she would fall asleep feeling perfectly healthy and whole. She would imagine her doctor expressing amazement at her complete recovery. She persisted in this assumption for several months. At her next medical examination, her doctor was indeed amazed to find no trace of the disease. He ordered additional tests, all of which confirmed her perfect health. Medical science could not explain it, but she understood the principle at work. She had assumed a feeling of perfect health, and her body conformed to that assumption. This is the miracle that awaits each of you, the discovery of your own creative power, the realization that your assumptions shape your world. It is the greatest gift, the pearl of great price, the treasure hidden in the field of your own consciousness. As you go forward from this night, I urge you to watch your assumptions carefully. Be aware of what you are assuming in each moment of your day. Are your assumptions aligned with your desires, or are they perpetuating conditions you wish to change? Remember, your subconscious accepts as true whatever you feel to be true. If you feel poverty, you perpetuate poverty. If you feel wealth, you perpetuate wealth. If you feel sickness, you perpetuate sickness. If you feel health, you perpetuate health. The choice is yours in every moment. The miracle that is coming your way is already complete in consciousness. It exists now as a present fact in the fourth dimension. Your consistent assumption of its reality will bring it into your three-dimensional experience, your physical world. I want to emphasize once more the importance of feeling in this process. I am not speaking of mere intellectual acceptance or verbal affirmation. I am speaking of emotional involvement, of feeling the reality of your wish fulfilled. For it is through feeling that your assumption is transmitted to the subconscious, where it becomes the seed of manifestation. Tonight, identify the feeling that would be yours if your desire were already fulfilled. Would you feel relief, security, joy, love? Peace. Whatever that feeling is, immerse yourself in it. Let it permeate your being. Fall asleep bathed in that feeling. And you are planting the seed of your miracle in the fertile soil of the subconscious. The Bible tells us, according to your faith, be it unto you. Faith is not mere hope or wishful thinking. Faith is the feeling of the reality of that which is not yet manifest to the senses. It is the conviction of the reality of the unseen. And this faith, this feeling conviction, is a substance that will clothe itself in the material fact of your experience. As we conclude our time together, I want to leave you with this thought. You are the operant power in your world. Your consciousness is the creative force from which all things flow. The miracle you seek is already within you, waiting for your recognition, waiting for your acceptance through the law of assumption. Go forth from this place with the confidence that your miracle is on its way to you. In fact, it is already yours in the reality of consciousness. Live from that assumption, feel the joy of its fulfillment, and watch as your outer world reshapes itself to reflect your inner conviction.